السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. How's everyone doing?
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله.
MashaAllah. Good to hear from you, Haytham, Abu Bakr. How are y'all doing?
Alhamdulillah, how about yourself? How's Egypt? How's everything?
Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah. Egypt is excellent, MashaAllah. Yesterday we had a little gathering and at our place, and we read the Burda together. We did many nasheeds together. Alhamdulillah, it's a blessed time to be able to sit and do that in the company of students of knowledge. And we even had one of the students, though she hasn't come in a few weeks because she's in Egypt, but one of the students from this class, some of you might know her, Sister Mahabba. She was over as well. MashaAllah, she's studying here in Egypt for a bit. So blessed time. Inshallah, you all get to visit sometime. Please come visit us.
Inshallah.
Allah, inshallah. Anyone been to Egypt before?
No, never.
Haytham, you're Moroccan?
Same thing. I'm Algerian, but we're all the same.
Alhamdulillah, could you recognize that?
Alhamdulillah.
Nationalism has created false borders. But okay, mashallah, yeah. So Algerian. Then I'll be in Algeria later this summer, inshallah, if all goes well, visiting one of my mashayikh there.
Oh, mashallah,
So
where
maybe
are
we'll
you
cross
going?
paths. He is in Adrar. So I know that a lot of people don't go to Adrar, but he's in Adrar in the south.
Oh, I see. Yeah, in the south,
Is
mashallah.
that deep south?
I'm not sure what's considered so deep south. I mean, in terms of geography, it's definitely the south. It's maybe in the middle south, but
Middle south? Okay.
Yeah,
um,
it's pretty desert, so it's pretty south.
yeah, mashallah. It's where Sheikh Bil Kabir, perhaps the greatest alim of Jazair in the past. I mean, one of the greatest for sure. The past few decades. He passed away, rahimahullah, in the late 90s. And his students are basically the great ulama, almost all the great ulama in Jazair today. I wouldn't say almost all, but a good majority of them are from his students or students'
Mashallah.
students. And so, yeah, and one of his main students is Sheikh Al-Maghili. And some of you know that I continue my studies with Sheikh Ahmed Al-Maghili. And for those of you who don't know, I highly recommend you check out his channel. They do, most of the posts are in Arabic, but there are posts in English from time to time, especially if you are Algerian, inshallah. And even if you're not, very beneficial posts.
YouTube or Twitter?
It's on Telegram and also WhatsApp. Yes, two
Okay.
channels, Telegram. He does have a YouTube as well. These are all managed by his students, but I don't think they have Twitter. No, Twitter has, I feel like it's not as big in the Allah. It doesn't seem to be as big in the Arab world. All right, inshallah, we'll go ahead and get started, especially since we started late. I will have to take a break probably for Isha, so we'll consider that the 5-minute break. Shall we start, inshallah? All right. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله وسلم على سيدنا مولانا حبيبنا وشفيعنا رسول رب العالمين اللهم علمنا فقهنا في الدين وعلمنا التأويل رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. Um, So we're continuing the section of zakat. And as we said, zakat, it means إخراج جزء من المال أو إخراج جزء مخصوص من مال مخصوص. إخراج جزء مخصوص من مال مخصوص. Okay. Is there somebody I can make? Let me, Abu Bakr, can I make you the co-host? So you can let people in if they're coming late. All right. Bismillah. Jazakumullah khair. Okay. As we said, is إخراج جزء مخصوص من مال مخصوص. That it is a taking out and extracting of a certain portion of money from certain kinds of money or certain kinds of wealth. That's the definition. What is the definition? Taking out or extracting or removing. All right. Or you could say paying. The paying of a certain portion of wealth from certain specific kinds of wealth. All right. إخراج جزء مخصوص من مال مخصوص. And as I said, definitions are extremely important in the Islamic tradition. Definitions are extremely important because it's only when you know and speak and define what you're speaking about can you reach the truth, which is the ultimate goal of Islamic knowledge. All right, so definitions are important. That's the definition of zakat. We talked about zakat on livestock, and then we talked about zakat on agriculture, right, farm plants. And we talked about zakat on currency, okay, which is perhaps the most important. Today we'll talk about zakat on livestock. I don't think there's any farmers in the class, but if there are, do let me know. So in order to move this quickly, I'll just give a very light commentary on this, okay? A very light commentary in this section because it's not applicable to many people. It's not applicable to many of us today. We don't own farms. At least it's not directly applicable. It's not directly applicable. But as we will go through today and learn a lot about domesticated animals, probably more than you'll ever learn or you ever have learned in your life, what we will take away is an indirect application and an indirect understanding and wisdom that these animals that we consume, the meat that we consume on a daily basis, is not just something manufactured in a plant and made in China and shipped over here. They're not just plastic goods, metal goods, cleanly pre-packaged, even though they may seem so when we get them from the grocery store. But they are a gift from Allah, as we have talked about before, that Allah has submitted to us. And if He had willed, He would have submitted us to them, as sometimes humans are submitted to lions and gorillas and other violent animals. But in this case, Allah has submitted these animals to us and made them passive to us and made them controllable to us. Something that I learned recently, because I have friends here from New Zealand. New Zealand has about something like one for every one human being, 40 sheep. For every one human being, 40 sheep. Okay? Now imagine if sheep were violent animals. It would be a bloodbath, right? Imagine if this were like, what's that old movie that they recently remade? Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, right? Or Planet of the Apes, where the apes took over the world. And there were a small amount of apes. I imagine it was a planet of the sheep. And the sheep took over New Zealand. There would be, you couldn't control them, right? Even if they weren't intelligent. But somehow Allah has submitted the sheep to humans in such a way that one sheep, there can be 40 sheep to one human, and the humans are safe. In fact, the humans are living a good life because they have 40 sheep to one human. So that is one of the hikmahs that we take away from studying this section, that the complete Muslim is never disconnected with nature, never disconnected with your source of food, and has an intimate understanding of their source of food and nature and animals, and thinks about it, ponders the animals, and ponders the blessings that Allah has brought through them. As it says, أَوَلَمْ يَرَوْا, what does it say? Many ayat in the Quran. أَفَلَا يَنْظُرُونَ إِلَى الْإِبِلِ كَيْفَ خُلِقَتْ. Have they not seen how the camel was created? So it's Allah is imploring us to think about the camel and think about how it's created. خلقنا لهم مما عملت أيدينا أنعاما فهم لها مالكون وذللناها لهم فمنها ركوبهم ومنها يأكلون. Allah says in Surah Yasin, which is one of the it is said to be the heart of the Quran. So an extremely important surah. That Allah is the one who created for us these an'am and submitted them to us. And have we not seen that? Meaning, have we not thought about that? Okay, so take this as an opportunity to ponder the creation of Allah and the blessings that Allah has brought us through livestock and domesticated livestock. So, as he begins, one thing we'll do is actually, one thing we'll try to do is read the lines of Ibn Ashir together. And I hope this will be a means of helping you all memorize the lines, okay? So we'll go ahead and read these lines starting from line number 190. Does everyone have the book in front of them? Okay, all right. Kabir, Jazakumullah khair. All right, so have the book in front of you, okay? If you're studying this seriously, sit at a table, inshallah, have the book in front of you and have it open and read along with me as I'll read it, and then use this as a means of, kind of as a template for you to learn to memorize this text, inshallah. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن. This is line number 190. في كل خمسة جمال جذعا من غنم بنت المخاض مقنعة في 25 وابنة اللبون في 6 مع 30 تكون. This is 192. Abu Bakr, you had a question?
Oh, no, sorry.
Okay, no worries. 46 حقة كفت جذعة 61 وفت بنت لبون 76 وحقتان 91. Everyone following?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
All right,
No.
line 194. ومع 30 3 أي بنات لبون أو خذ حقتين بافتيات إذا 30 تلاتها 100 في كل 50 كمالا حقة وكل 40 بنت للأبون وهكذا ما زاد أمره يهون عجل تبيع في 30 بقر مسنة في 40 تستطار وهكذا ما ارتفعت ثم الغنم شاة 40 مع أخرى تضام في 21 يتلو 100 ومع 80 3 مجزئة و4 خذ من 200 4 شاة لكل 100 إن ترفع وحول الأرباح ونسل كالأصول والطاردة عباية زكان يحول. Stop there. All right. And because as we'll be doing a quick commentary, and I don't want to just hear me reading everything, we'll have someone, again, read the lines. So who volunteers to read? This is the English translation of the line. Do we have a volunteer, or I'll have to pick someone without volunteering? To read the English, yeah. All right, Bismillah.
I don't know if they understand my accent.
Sorry?
I said, I don't know if people understand my accent.
Your accent makes it interesting and spicy, keeps us awake, mashallah. So Bismillah. Just read one line, I'll explain, and then read the next line. 190. And as he's pulling it up, I'll say, one thing, which is that, or a brief introduction, right, to zakat on livestock. Number one, there's only zakat on 3 kinds of livestock. Only on 3 kinds of livestock. So if you're a farmer, you should know this. There's no zakat on chickens, okay? If you have chickens at home, there's no zakat. There's no zakat on ducks or any birds. But there's zakat on camels. There's zakat on cows or bulls and related species, basically bovines. And there's zakat on goats and sheep, and those are usually one category. 3 categories, okay? Goats and sheep, bovines, camels. Camels, bovines, goats and sheep. Other than that, there's no zakat. So if you had some exotic farm where you had, I don't know, you had, let's say something exotic, peacocks, there's no zakat. You had deer. Do people have deer farms? That's interesting. I'll have to look into that.
Yeah.
Horses, no zakat. Donkeys, no zakat. Okay. Deer, I'll look into it, inshallah. Okay, I'll look into it, inshallah. I don't think it would be joined with goats and sheep, so I think it would not be zakatable. But Allah alam, I need to double check that. That's an interesting question. Bison, also an interesting question. I believe it would be joined because they do talk about water buffalo. Of course, bison are, American kind of North American animals, so you won't find the classical books of fuqaha. But they do definitely talk about water buffalo. They talk about other kinds of buffaloes that are all joined with under bovines. They have bison in Europe too. Okay, but it's something new. I was just America first, but they have bison in Europe as well. So look into it, ala kulli hal. But the kinds of buffaloes and bisons that are out here, all right, so that's number one. Number two, when it comes to the gender of the animal, female is always better to give. Female is always better to give. Why is female always better to give? Because it should be quite obvious, but babies only come from females. Further animals only come from females. So when a poor person gets a female livestock, they can actually start to grow their wealth. If you just get a male, all you can do with it is, slaughter, unless you had other females. Okay, and yes, they can also give milk. That's number two. So number one is that it's only given on camels, bovines, and goats and sheep. Number two is the gender, the female is always better. But there's sometimes the male is prescribed. Okay, so for camels, as you'll see, the female is always prescribed except the Ibn al-Labun, which we'll get to. It's given as a replacement. For cows, one animal that's prescribed is a male, and the other is a female. The tabi'a is a male, and the musinna is a female. And for goats and sheep, either one can be given. Either one can be given. But we can say in all cases, the female is always better. And giving a better animal is always permissible. Okay? Giving a better animal is always permissible. So those are the 3 principles I give as an introduction, that the zakat is only on camels. And by the way, there's 2 kinds of camels, right? 2 main kinds of camels. One of them is the Bactrian camel, and the other one, I forgot the exact name, but I think it's like a dromidia or something like this. But basically, one is the Bactrian, which is the 2 humps, and then the other is the 1-humped camel, and that is called dromedary. There we go, dromedary. And llamas, by the way, are included with camels. Llamas are included with camels. So that is something Dromedary. Dromedary, yeah. So llamas, I don't think you have llamas in Europe, right? Alpacas. Llamas and alpacas. It has to be an America thing. Let America have some wins, right? North and South America, mostly South America, again, has llamas and alpacas, right? Yes, excellent. MashaAllah. Sister Jessica seems to be a natural biologist, MashaAllah. Okay. So that is a purely American animal, but the fuqaha have said that the llamas and alpacas, they are joined with the camels. Okay. Bismillah. Now, go ahead. Sidi Abu Bakr. Bismillah. Your voice is a little unclear though. Like it's not the accent, I promise. It's the microphone.
Can you hear me better now? Can
Yes,
you hear me
that's a little
better?
better. Much better,
Yeah, I was saying, should I read the parenthetical statements as well in this translation?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
All right, so now speaking about zakat on livestock, we say that the representative of the imam should take one 1-year-old sheep for every 5 camels. A 1-year-old she camel fulfills the requirement.
Okay. Oh, so this is a different translation, huh? Not the Diwan Press.
Yeah.
Okay, so in any case, if the parentheses are not too long, I don't know how the parentheses look there, then you can read them. If it's like too long, then it's commentary, then just leave it and I'll explain it. Basically, now we're first talking about camels or alpacas or llamas if you have those, right? I have seen a llama farm in California. And even a camel farm actually once. But basically there's different, as we said, there's different nisabs, right? And you can think of them as like tax brackets, zakat brackets, okay? When it came to agriculture, we talked about the nisab. What was the nisab?
Crops?
Yeah, and crops, yeah. Khamsatu awsaq, 5 wasaq. Okay. What was the nisab in currency? In just dinars or dirhams?
20 dinars.
20 dinars. When it comes to livestock, there are different nisab for different levels of payment, okay? So it's not as you know, in taxes, there's not a flat tax, okay? Rather, it's a tiered tax, okay? It's tiered zakat, so tiered nisabs. The first tier is 5 camels. In 5 camels, you pay a jada'a. A jada'a is a male or female, goat or sheep, okay? So for every 5 camels, male or female, goat or sheep, until you hit 25 camels. When you hit 25 camels, so yes, in the beginning for zakat on camels, you actually pay from a different animal, which is goat or sheep. Then when you hit 25 camels, you actually pay from the camels, which is you pay a bintul maqab, which is a camel that has completed 1 year. A camel that has completed 1 year and it's now in its 2nd year. All right, next line.
For 25 camels old, a 2-year-old she camel is for 36 camels old.
Okay, what if you only have camels? What if you own 6 camels and nothing else? If you don't have the animal, you have to buy the animal, okay? So if you only have camels, there's 2 options. 1, you go buy a goat and give that as zakat. 2, you can give something better. As we said, giving something better is always permissible. So if you give a camel that has completed 1 year, that's better than a goat or sheep that has completed 1 year. So you could give that. Okay, that's up to the person who's paying zakat. But the minimum is that they have to go buy a goat and give that away. Tamam. Now, 25 camels, as you said, you give a camel في الخمس والعشرين وابنة اللبون في ستة مع 30 تكون. On 36, once you hit, so 25 camels, what do you give? A female camel that has finished 1 year, bint makhab. 36 camels, what do you give? Basically, it's plus 10, right? Plus 10. Those 36 camels, what do you give? A camel that has completed 2 years, a female camel that has completed 2 years. Then same thing, plus 10, 46 camels. What do you give? A female camel that has completed 3 years, which is called a hiqqa. And then it's actually plus 15, 61. On 61 camels, what do you give? 61, jada'a. You give a jada'a, a female camel that has completed 4 years. Okay? So first tax bracket, zakat bracket is 5. And for every 5, you give a goat. Then 25, you give a 1-year-old she camel. Then 36, you give a 2-year-old she camel. 46 plus 10, you give a 3-year-old she camel. 61 plus 15, instead of going plus 10, the Sharia says plus 15 to make it easier, right? So plus 15, you give a 4-year-old she camel. Then another plus 15, which is 76, you give binta labun. You give two binta labun. It's 2-year-old she camels. 2-year-old she camels. Then it goes 91. Another plus 15. You give 2 3-year-old she camels. And then plus 30. Plus 30. وَمَعَ 30. I know Abu Bakr was skipping the reading, but I'm just doing it to go faster here. وَمَعَ 30, line 194, add plus 30. So first you were adding 5, 5, 5, right? Then we added 10, 10 to go from 25 to 36. We added 10, 36 to 46. You added 10. Then we added 15, 46 to 61. Then 61 to 75, 15, 15, 76 to 90, 1, another 15. You see the pattern. And then we added 30, okay, to go to 120. When you hit 120, you can either, between 120 and 130, you can either give 3 banat labun, which are 2-year-old she camels, either 3 2-year-old she camels, or 2 3-year-old she camels, which is the same as from 90 to 120, okay? So from 90 to 120, how much do you give? What do you give? Anyone? 90 to 120, what do you give? People are like, there's too many camels floating in my head. More camels than I've thought about in my entire life. Huh? 2 feet milk. 2. Exactly. 2 she camels that have completed 3 years. When you hit 120, then you can either continue to give 2 she camels that hit 3 years, or 3 2-year-old camels. Okay? It's the opposite. 2 3-year-old camels or 3 2-year-old camels until 130. That's what he means by أو خذ حقتين بافتيات, or take 2 hiqqas بافتيات, according to the assessment. So this is not your choice as a farmer, but it's according to the assessment of a tax collector, of the zakat collector. According to the assessment of the zakat collector. Tamam? إذا الثلاثين تلتها المئة في كل 50 كمالا حقة. Until you hit 130. When you hit 130, then we can't keep defining exact amounts forever. So the Sharia gives a principle to define any amounts over that. You can say the ultra camel wealthy, the ultra camel rich people, the camel billionaires. How do they pay zakat on the camels? The Sharia gives a principle no matter how many camels they own. Okay? No matter how many camels they own. Okay? شفى الله شقيف. ما شاء الله. Allah shaqif. Allah give him the cure. No problem, inshallah. So, what is the principle for the camel millionaires? The principle is quite simple. He says, في كل 50 كمالا حقة. In every 50 camels, you give a hiqqa. A hiqqa is a 3-year-old she camel. And in every 40 camels, you give a bint laboon, which is a 2-year-old she camel. وهكذا ما زاد أمره يهون. So now we have to do some math. Okay, who's ready to do some camel math? Who's ready to do some camel math? Okay. Basically, the principle is like this. Any 40, you give a 2-year-old she camel. Any 50, you give a 3-year-old she camel. And with this principle, you should be able to get, for any number divisible by 10, you should be able to get the zakatable amount. So for example, 150 camels. 150 has 3 50s. So you give 3 3-year-old she camels. For every 40, you give a 2-year-old she camel. Okay? And this is why it's important to be good at math. All right? We talked about it last time, briefly. The Muslims are strong at math, intelligent at math. This doesn't mean you have to have calculus and study, derivatives and trigonometry. Ala hasab, meaning on what you're doing in life. But every Muslim at a basic level has a decent competency in math. Okay? Because it keeps the brain sharp. So we're going to practice our math. 160 camels. There are how many 40s in 160? 4 40s. All right. So 4 40s. That means you pay 4 2-year-old she camels. Now you come to 170. I'll give you this simple trick with hundreds. If you know numbers that are divisible by 4, subtract 50, because 50 camels, you pay 1 3-year-old she camel, right? Until you hit a number divisible by 4. So from 170, you subtract 50. So 170, you pay 1 3-year-old she camel. You subtract 50, and what do you get? 170 minus 50? 120. 120 is divisible by 40 or no? It is. It's divisible 3 times by 40. So you pay 3 2-year-old she camels. So 1 3-year-old she camel and 3 2-year-old she camels. Okay? Excellent, Abu Bakr. Now 180. 180. Is it divisible by 40? No. So what do? You start first by dividing, by subtracting 50 and saying that you owe 1 3-year-old she camel, right? You subtract 50 from 180 and you get 130. So you already owe 1 3-year-old she camel. 130, is that divisible by 40? No. So you subtract 50 again. What do you get? 80. So now you owe 2 3-year-old she camels. 80, is that divisible by 40? Yes, it's divisible twice by 40. So what do you give on 80? 2 2-year-old she camels. So in the end, how much do you owe on 180 camels? We're gonna go home tonight and be dreaming about camels, right? It's good. If you dream about camels, you'll turn into an Arab probably. You'll truly understand. I mean, part of understanding the Sunnah and the time of the Sahaba is actually understanding camels. I'm not even kidding. The amount of shi'r and the amount of even prophetic literature related to camels is immense. As the Prophet ﷺ said, to be able to convert one person to Islam is a greater gift than having a red camel, right? So you'll understand that what the meaning of that is by understanding camels, okay? So 180 is 2 3-year-olds and 2 2-year-olds, okay? 190 is, I'll leave it as an open problem. 190. Who can get it first? It's like a game of Jeopardy with camels. Sister Jessica, all right, with the first answer. 3 3-year-olds and 1 2-year-old. Is that right? Exactly right. Exactly right. MashaAllah, MashaAllah. Sister Jessica takes home the camel math prize. Last one is 200. It's a little bit of a trick question. 200 camels. Who can give the answer for 200 camels? Five 2-year-olds or 4 3-year-olds. Both of them are valid answers. Both of them are fine. Okay? Because 200 is divisible by both 40 and 50. So both of them are okay. Excellent, mashallah. Now we had enough of camels. We'll take the break here. I'll pray Isha. You guys take a 5, 7, 10-minute break max. And then we'll finish off with bovines, goats, and sheep, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Let's now resume, inshallah. We'll answer these questions. Just to remind, if someone has a farm and there's no tax collector who advised to give it to the needy, like the money zakat, yes, you give it directly if there's no collector. And if there's no one, no poor person, no poor Muslim who can take this animal, right? Because a lot of Muslims today, maybe you're a farmer in California, but there's not a poor Muslim who's going to take your animal. In this case, you sell it and you give the money. Or you give it to an area where they will take the animal. Maybe there's no poor Muslim farmer in Northern California, but there is one in Southern California. So you drive it over to Southern California. Or you sell it and give the money away. Or you sell it and buy a similar animal in an area where the person needs the animal. Okay? Does that make sense? So for example, you're a camel farm owner. I've seen a camel farm. I don't know if maybe Haytham has seen it. There's a camel farm somewhere in Eastern Bay Area, 2010. Some person has a bunch of camels. Maybe this person who's Muslim, okay, Haytham has seen it. Who are they going to give the camel to, right? Or the zakat, the goat or something to. But what they can do is they can sell the camel, get the money, and give that money somewhere overseas to a poor Muslim, and that poor Muslim, or to someone who will buy a camel there and give it to a poor Muslim there. Does that make sense? As for which one is better to do, whether to give the money locally or to give it to a different area and buy the camel there, probably the former, but I'll need to look into it, inshallah. All right, we'll continue. Or there's one more question, if I'm missing something here, but does bint laboon refer to a 2-year-old camel or she camel that has completed 2 years? When we're talking about 2-year-old, what we mean is a camel that has completed 2 years and is therefore 3 years old. That's the ages here they refer to when the completion of a year. Okay. There's an excellent line in Ashal al-Masalik that I'll give. Ashal al-Masalik is a text. Inshallah, it's maybe just the level up from Ibn Ashir. Yeah, it is. It is just a level up from Ibn Ashir. You can say it's a kind of the 3rd level text. Advanced intermediate text. And in this text, it says one line, it beautifully states the line, which is سن المخاض سنة فادرجي عاما فعاما والرموز ملحجي. سن المخاض سنة فادرجي عاما فعاما والرموز ملحجي. That the age of a makhab is 1 year old, that is completed 1 year. Then after that, you just keep adding 1 year, 1 year, 1 year. So a 2-year-old is completed 2 years, and 3-year-old is completed 3 years, 4-year-old that's completed 4 years. The rumuz, the kind of acronym is milhaj. Okay, milhaj, bint makhab for 1 year, completed 1 year. Laboon, bint laboon for completed 2 years. Milhaj. Ha, hiqqa for completed 3 years. Ja, jada'a for completed 4 years. Okay? All right. So now, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, wa sallallahu wa sallam ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. Line 197. We're on to bovines. So let's say that Haytham has a buffalo farm or bison farm. And assuming now that bisons are put together with the cows. On this bison farm, he has 30 bison. So what does he pay in zakat? It says on 30 cows, this means any male or female, a 2-year-old cow, a 2-year-old male cow, a tabi'a, is paid. So Haytham would have to give a 2-year-old bison, male bison, away. Is it permissible for him to give a female bison? Yes, because as we said, a female bison is better. مُسِنَّةٌ فِي 40 تُسْتَطَرْ. Let's say now that Haytham actually has 40 bison or 40 longhorn. We're talking about a Texas longhorn, okay? I'm Texan. We're going to go back to Texas. And the longhorns are very prized for their beef in Texas, okay? So you have 40 longhorns. What are you going to give away? You're going to give away one 3-year-old female longhorn, okay? وهكذا ما ارتفعت ثم الغنم. And using this, you can say how much you're going to give for 200, okay? Or any number. And every 30, you give a tabi', which is a 2-year-old male that has completed 2 years. And every 40, you give a female that has completed 3 years. So Kabir, if Kabir had 200 longhorns, what does he have to give? Anyone? No, there's no category for 50. 5 females completed 3 years. Yes, exactly. Because 5 times 40 is 200. So he gives 5 females that have completed 2 years. So Kabir, mashallah, you have the math down. It is now permissible for you to have a longhorn farm. All right. وهكذا ما ارتفعت ثم الغنم. Now let's go on to goats and sheep. Goats and sheep, which is the easiest to understand, okay? For goats and sheep, when you're giving away an animal, it can be either male or female. When you're giving the zakat, it can either be male or female, it doesn't matter. And the goat or sheep that you're giving away must be at least 1 year old, that has completed 1 year. It has completed 1 year. Okay, so I mean it's actually 2 years old in our usage of age. It has completed 1 year. That clear? That's goats and sheep is the easiest. Okay, it must be at least have completed 1 year, and it can either be male or female. And it should be from. You might say, okay, well, do I give a goat or do I give a sheep? It depends on your land. Depends on the place. Some lands are known for goats. Some lands are known for sheep. For example, in the subcontinent, people don't really eat sheep. It's not a land of sheep. So there you don't go and say, oh, I'm a sheep farmer, I'm going to give some sheep. No. In Australia, New Zealand, it's more sheep. In the Middle East, in the Arab world, it's more sheep. So you don't come there and say, oh, I'm going to give a goat. You know, I'm Indian, so I'm going to give a goat. No. Okay. It's according to the land that you're in, you give the more common of the sheep or goat. Okay. So what do you give? Now there's the first bracket is when you hit 40 sheep or goats, and you combine both of them together. When you hit 40 of these little guys, what do you pay? You pay 1. All the way until you hit 120. When you hit 121, until you hit 121. When you hit 121, how many of these little guys do you pay? 2 of them. Okay. Male or female, at least 1 year, at least have completed 1 year. All the way until, so from 0 to 40, nothing. From 40, you hit 1 until 120. And then from 121, you pay 2, all the way until, it says on line 199, في واحد عشرين يتلو ومئة. Everyone following the text, by the way, I haven't been clearly pointing to the text. I hope it hasn't been lost, but I want everyone to be able to follow in the text. Everyone following which line we're on? We're on line number 199, roughly. Everyone see that? Tawfiq, Kabir, Jessica, Inez, Haytham, Abu Bakr. Okay. So line 199. في 21 يتلو. When 121 is reached, you're paying 2 goat or sheep. ومع 80 3 المجزية. Until you hit 200. 120 plus 80 مع 80. With 80 more, you hit what? 80 plus 120 is what? 300. When you hit 300, then, sorry, it's 201. When you hit 201, then you pay 3 goats and sheep. All right, 3 goats or sheep. From 201 until 400, you continue to pay 3 goats or sheep. Once you hit 400, then you just pay 1 for every 100. Okay? So once you hit 400, you pay 4. 500, how much do you pay? If you're a sheep millionaire, you pay 5. Let's say you're a sheep billionaire, you have 5,000 sheep. How much do you pay? 50. Simple, right? وصلى الله وسلم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. Any questions on today? Let's look at the livestock. Fikum barakallah. Then, so if that's all there is, inshallah, feel free to drop any questions in the chat. And we will see you all next week, inshallah. وفقنا الله وإياكم لما يحب ويرضى. والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Assalamu.
Well,